Welcome back to The Explainer. I am incredibly excited to dive into today's topic. We are looking at the universal language, deconstructing football's global domination. So how exactly did a totally simple game, one play with just a single ball on a random patch of grass or a dusty street, evolve into the world's undisputed, completely unmatched global religion? Well, we're going to break down the culture, the economics, and the brilliant master strategies that actually built this empire.
6 billion. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the staggering number of projected digital engagements for the upcoming 2026 World Cup. The world is quite literally about to witness the absolute biggest sporting spectacle in human history. For the very first time ever, 3 powerhouse nations, the USA, Canada, and Mexico, are co-hosting the tournament. And it's going to feature an unprecedented, record-breaking 48 teams. 6 billion digital engagements. That's nearly the entire population of our planet, completely united by a single event.
And you know what's really wild? This growth is exploding in totally unexpected places. We like to call this the 27.5 million viewer shift. The global landscape is undeniably shifting right before our eyes. Even in historically non-traditional football markets, like the United States, the beautiful game is absolutely shattering historic television records. I mean, during the USA versus Paraguay match, 27.5 million viewers tuned in. This isn't just a niche interest anymore. It's breaking through the cultural barriers of nations that historically favored entirely different sports.
That brings us to Section 2, the grassroots equation, focusing on simplicity and culture.
To really grasp how this macro-level domination happened, we actually need to zoom way out. Actually, scratch that. We need to zoom way in, down to the micro level, to how this sport actually begins for billions of people. The absolute secret to football's unrivaled global reach lies in its democratic roots and its profound simplicity. Think about it. You don't need expensive gear. You don't need a complex court or some elite infrastructure. A makeshift ball, an open patch of land, and maybe a pair of slippers for goalposts, that is more than enough. It's inherently democratic. Yet this very same simple game seamlessly bridges the gap to ultimate luxury, becoming a massive economic engine. Today, over 3.5 billion people identify as football fans. Clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona, they aren't just teams anymore. They are these glittering cultural institutions with blinding stadium floodlights and hundreds of millions of followers.
And the financial impact of that grassroots accessibility? It is staggering. Engaging with this sport is definitely not a passive activity. Highly engaged football fans spend up to 6 times more on their passion than casual viewers of other sports. That relentless, deep-seated cultural connection directly feeds a multi-billion-dollar empire. We're talking about media rights, immense digital trends, and global sponsorships that frankly dwarf almost any other entertainment industry on Earth.
Moving on to Section 3, Strategic Engineering and National Masterplans.
Now, it's super easy to think this global explosion just kind of happened organically over time, but it's often the direct result of strategic blueprints engineered by different nations. Take the Japanese blueprint, for example. Back in the early 1980s, Japan executed a truly masterful cultural strategy. They combined the massive power of pop culture, specifically a hit manga and anime series called Captain Tsubasa, with strictly enforced institutional support. They created community-based clubs and explicitly banned corporate ownership titles. The result? They permanently tied local and national identity directly to the sport. This creative cultural tool sparked a totally unprecedented youth movement, exploding their registered youth players from just 69,000 to over 240,000 in only 7 years. It was a complete game changer.
On the complete other end of the strategic spectrum, you have China. While Japan used cultural grassroots engineering, China launched a massive state-led $50 billion vision to transform the country into an absolute football superpower basically overnight. This monumental investment went into constructing over 70,000 pitches to train millions of new players from the ground up. So whether it's through creative cultural anime or massive government infrastructure investments, nations across the globe have clearly realized that building football is the ultimate way to capture the hearts and the capital of the next generation.
Let's look at Section 4, Eras of Greatness in the Modern Era.
The ultimate showcases of this global obsession are, without a doubt, the modern World Cups. These are emotional milestones permanently etched into human history. Think back to 2002. The World Cup landed on Asian soil for the first time, where a massive audience of 1.1 billion watched Ronaldo complete his legendary story of redemption. Then 2006 in Germany, a tournament defined by raw human emotion and Zinedine Zidane's heartbreaking final farewell. Fast forward to Mario Götze's beautiful extra-time volley that stunned Brazil in 2014, and then that breathtaking, high-scoring tackle showdown between France and Croatia in Russia 2018. With every single one of these iconic, culturally resonant moments, the global television audience just kept climbing, consistently shattering that billion-viewer mark.
And all of that momentum leads us to a staggering 1.5 billion. Qatar 2022, the ultimate fairy tale ending. When Lionel Messi finally lifted that elusive golden trophy in that chaotic, totally unbelievable Argentina versus France final, it shattered every single broadcasting record in human history. 1.5 billion people were drawn to their screens simultaneously. Just imagine the collective heartbeat of the planet in that single moment. It's almost hard to wrap your head around.
Finally, Section 5, the universal language. So what does this game actually mean for humanity as a whole? Look at the sheer cultural density here. 75%. 3 out of every 4 televisions in all of Mexico were turned on for the opening match. Why does this happen? Because football is never ever just a game. It is a powerful vessel for pure emotion, deep generational loyalty, and this unyielding national pride. As this data proves, it is a spectacle powerful enough to bring an entire country to a complete absolute standstill. People hugging total strangers in the streets, crying tears of joy. It is the ultimate shared experience.
You know, our world often feels really fragmented. We're divided by borders, complex politics, entirely different spoken languages, but football remains the great undisputed equalizer. It reminds us that no matter where we come from, we all feel the exact same anticipation when the ball flies toward the back of the net. It's truly a language the whole world speaks together. So I'll leave you with this. If a simple game can unite a fractured world, what else is possible? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you on the next one.